Good morning. Hi. I'm Gail Glover, and I will be serving as your worship associate today. I'm also a member of the Sunday morning committee and sometimes serve as usher or greeter or other duties as assigned. And good morning. Welcome to the Greenville Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. Whether you've been with us on Sundays for a long time or are visiting us for the first time today, we welcome you to our service. Our congregation is diverse in beliefs, with participation open to all who agree to embrace our covenant, mission, and values, regardless of your partisanship or lack thereof. We're a welcoming congregation to people of all sexual orientations and gender identities, races, ethnicities, and abilities. We unconditionally welcome you as your full, authentic self to our community of care, spiritual growth, and personal growth. Our congregation mission is to strengthen our connections to one another and our planet by enlivening minds and spirits, building community through liberating love, and advocating fiercely for justice. It's a custom in this congregation to acknowledge visitors and newcomers. If it's your first time here, would you mind raising your hand so that we can acknowledge you? Welcome. Welcome. We're glad to see you this morning, and thank you so much for joining us. And all are invited to join us for coffee after the service. New and kind of newish folks who are invited to grab one of these green mugs located just inside the door of the fellowship hall, so we can easily spot you and speak to you during our coffee hour. And you are welcome to fill out one of the gold cards located in the pew in front of you so you can stay informed regarding all our activities. Simply drop the card in the offering basket or in the box that's on the hello table out in the foyer. Please know that whatever your religious history, whatever your spirituality, all people of goodwill are welcome here. Your presence makes us better. Your presence makes us whole. And now our service will begin. Our chalice lighting words are adapted from words by Bear Kwolozakwa. As we light the chalice, may our souls become its hearth. Let us join our hearts to the one great flame of bright compassion, beloved community, and fervent justice. May we become lanterns to the world, lighting the way for all.
before our opening words, we are going to share a video from Charlie Smith in honor of our congregation's 75th anniversary.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Charlie Smith. For the last 50 years, I've been a member of the Greenville Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. 50 years ago, we were hardly more than a discussion group. Spent a lot of time Christian bashing, and over the time, I have seen us grow into the vital force in the community that we are now. We have been able to apply our positive aspects of our faith to everyday life to bring about not only social change, but individual growth. So, why do I come here instead of one of 3 other Unitarian groups that are closer to our house than this one? Well, the simple answer is this is home. 50 years of experience have come together here to make some sort of sense out of life. We've raised our family here. It's a place where we can be part of things and not merely a spectator on the outside looking in. So I sincerely hope that you can find your church home with the Greenville Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, as we have. It's been a very satisfying time, and it's only getting better. I thank you for listening, and see you on Sunday.
Our call to worship this morning is written by Andrew Pakula. Come into this circle of community. Come into this sacred space. Be not tentative. Bring your whole self. Bring the joy that makes your heart sing. Bring your kindness and your compassion. Bring also your sorrow, your pain. Bring your brokenness and your disappointments. Spirit of love and mystery, help us to recognize the spark of the divine that resides within each of us. May we know the joy of wholeness. May we know the joy of being together. Please rise in body or spirit. Let us sing.
Good morning. I'm David Funderburk. I'm the Director of Religious Education here at GOOF, and I want to welcome any children or youth or anyone of any age who'd like to come up close to hear our story today, to come up and sit on the floor at the base of the steps or in the front pews. Welcome. Today, our story is about the life of a man named Mohandas Gandhi. Now, this book is a little long, so I'm only going to read some excerpts from it. It's by a writer and artist named Demi. Have you heard of Mohandas? Known for helping teach people how to make social change, how to change things that are wrong in the world without using violence. Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi was born in Porbandar, India on October 2nd, 1869. His mother was a devout woman who taught her children about their religion, Jainism. His father was a prime minister in the prince's court. Gandhi grew up believing in karma, the idea that to keep his soul clean, he should pray, be disciplined, honest, and have few possessions, and harm no one. Now, Gandhi grew up to become a lawyer. He went to London, England, to train to be a lawyer, and then he ended up practicing law in South Africa for a while. And when he was in South Africa, one winter night, Gandhi was traveling in the first-class section of a train on a business trip. A white male passenger insisted Gandhi sit in the third class. Gandhi refused, and a steward threw Gandhi off the train. In the cold, in the dark, in the middle of nowhere, Gandhi reflected on the deep, painful disease of prejudice. Soon after his experience on the train, Gandhi created the theory of satyagraha, which means the force of love. He wrote that the force of love by peace always wins over violence. He determined to root out the disease of prejudice, but never to yield to violence and never to use violence again against others. He vowed to bring the peace of heaven to earth. Gandhi believed deeply in the words of India's holy book, the Bhagavad Gita. He meditated several times a day and diminished his selfish desires by loving others and loving the Lord of love. He tried to avoid any angry feelings so as not to cloud his judgment. By believing in the power of love and treating everyone as his family, Gandhi discovered he was no longer shy and no longer afraid of anything. Gandhi and his followers worked to accept the good and bad in life, to meet challenges with humility and calm, and to bring harmony to the world. With his wife and 4 sons, Gandhi returned to India in 1915. As soon as he could, he began the struggle for India's independence. He wanted to rid India of its hierarchical and prejudiced caste system that placed priests at the top, at the highest social level, princes and soldiers at the next level, laborers at the 3rd level, and the poor, or the untouchable is what they were called, at the 4th and lowest level. Gandhi called those people at the lowest level the children of God and was determined to liberate them. Gandhi also worked to rid India of British oppression. For 300 years, several thousand British people ruled over 300 million Indian people. Gandhi spoke to millions of people, asking them to practice the selfless love of satyagraha. Indians ceased to cooperate with the British, and many were jailed. Many spun their own cloth so they wouldn't have to purchase British-made cloth called khadi. That white cloth was worn by millions of people and became the symbol of Indian independence. The British government was furious about India's non-cooperation, and in 1919, during the Amritsar massacre, British soldiers killed 379 innocent people and wounded over 1,000. Now, do you think that they responded to all of that violence with more violence? No, Gandhi led what was called a hartal, a nationwide strike. And the entire country of India was essentially shut down. Gandhi's nonviolent satyagraha campaign marched on, encouraged by Gandhi's words, "Nonviolence acts continuously, silently, and ceaselessly till it has transformed the diseased mass into a healthy one." In 1922, the British imprisoned Gandhi for preaching nonviolence, defying British rule, and writing anti-British pamphlets. He was in prison for 2 years, but the Satyagraha movement was secure. British imperialism in India was threatened, and Gandhi was happy. He did not consider being in jail a hardship, but something of which to be proud. He felt that to suffer bravely for a higher ideal was the guiding force that would make every man and woman in India free. In hot, tropical countries like India, salt is an essential part of everyone's diet. British law in India forbade Indians from making their own salt, forcing them to buy salt from the British. But in 1930, Gandhi led the Salt March. Accompanied by 78 people, Gandhi began to walk from Sabarmati to Dandi, a town on the ocean over 200 miles away. By the time Gandhi reached Dandi and picked up a pinch of sea salt in symbolic defiance of British rule, he had been joined by hundreds of thousands of people. The British government was forced to acknowledge that it was beginning to lose its stronghold on India. After leading the Salt March and other such defiant acts, Gandhi felt the imperial British chains weakening from around the Indian people, and there was much rejoicing. Gandhi's followers named him Mahatma, which means great soul. That's why sometimes when you hear his name, you hear Mahatma Gandhi instead of Mohandas Gandhi. The British government did not give up their hold on India easily, however, and Gandhi was imprisoned after his Salt March. To put more pressure on the British, he decided to stop eating or to fast. It was a powerful and nonviolent way of threatening the British government. The British did not want to be responsible for Gandhi's death, so after 6 days, the government agreed to a pact to protect the civil rights of the untouchables. This kind of social change, brought about by peaceful means, was Gandhi's great victory. Now, I wonder what lessons we might have to learn from Gandhi to use nonviolence to solve the problems we have today. And with that, thank you for listening. And let me get in front of you and I'll lead you on to your classes.
The purpose of any church is to encourage all who gather there to grow more generous in spirit and in action. This is the great end of all the world's faith traditions, to bring the human being closer to the divine by acts of creation and compassion. We now take an offering that allows us to exercise that all-important generosity of spirit, an offering that will support this self-supporting fellowship and its many ministries. The gifts of the congregation will be most gratefully received. It is our custom in this fellowship to share the joys and the sorrows that shape our lives, honoring each one with the lighting of a candle. We all have moments of celebration and struggle. By sharing these experiences with one another, we can support and uplift each other on our journeys. Excuse me. Our first joy is from Muriel Hill Rowley, who says, "Rain, blessed rain, but not enough." And then the next three have a common theme to them. I want to thank everyone who showed up for the No Kings protest yesterday. We are the proof that the people can come together. Yeah. Right? We are the proof that the people can come together in peaceful community and that we are strong. That comes from Joni LeCompte, but I know a lot of us share that feeling in our hearts as well. Next is from Todd Couliard, who says, "A candle of joy for the mojo of Elaine Norwood. I was not able to join her memorial, but instead helped lead marshal the march in Columbia in her honor and for all people. Special thanks to the team," from Todd Couliard. And finally, from Letitia Short, What a wonderful sight yesterday to see everyone who was out for the No Kings March all over the country. Yeah. And finally, we'll light a final candle that will represent all the joys and the sorrows that are present in our hearts but remain unspoken. We'll now observe a brief moment of silence before the meditation words begin.
Our meditation words are from Maya Angelou. We, this people, on this small and drifting planet, whose hands can strike with such abandon that in a twinkling life is sapped from the living. Yet those same hands can touch with such healing, irresistible tenderness. We, this people, on this wayward floating body, created on this earth, of this earth, we have the power to fashion this earth, a climate where every person can live freely without sanctimonious piety, without crippling fear. We, this people, in whose mouths abide cantankerous words which challenge our very existence, yet out of those same mouths come songs of such exquisite sweetness that the heart falters in its labor and the body is quieted into awe. When we come to it, to the day of peacemaking, we must confess that we are the possible, we are the miraculous, the true wonder of this world. First, I'd like to share something from the memorial service of Elaine Norwood that was held yesterday afternoon. Those of you who knew Elaine knew that she was a social justice warrior before that term was ever invented. Her son Mark, who gave her eulogy, one of the things he said was that if she were there yesterday at the service, the first thing she would say is, "Why aren't you all at the No Kings rally?" But now I'm going to start today by looking at nonviolence, which David expressed so well through the story, and Gandhi, through the life of Gandhi. I'm going to look at it through the lens of yoga. That's how I first became familiar with the Sanskrit word ahimsa, which can be roughly translated as non-harming, non-injury, or non-violence. As set out in the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, the defining text of the ancient philosophy of yoga. You might know that yoga is more than stretching. The stretching part, which is called asana, is only one limb of what are known as the 8 limbs of yoga. So ahimsa, that Sanskrit word for non-harming, is one of the limbs of yoga called the yamas. The yamas are a list of abstinences, things you should abstain from, that make up this first limb of yoga, which is the yamas. So what should you abstain from if you are a good yogi? You should abstain from things like lying, stealing, greed, or being consumed by carnal desires. The final abstinence of the yamas is ahimsa, abstaining from doing harm. As with many words that are translated, sometimes the deeper meaning is lost, and that goes for ahimsa. The translation to nonviolence or non-harming really doesn't tell the whole story. The late Swami Satchidananda, in his commentary on the Yoga Sutra that describes ahimsa, said, when the vow of ahimsa is established in someone, all enmity ceases in their presence because that person emits harmonious vibrations. If 2 people who have enmity between them come to such a person, they will temporarily forget it. That is the benefit of ahimsa. When it is practiced continuously in thought, word, and deed for some time, the entire personality brings out those vibrations. Going on, he says, even wild animals forget their nature of causing pain in the presence of one established in ahimsa. In ancient Hindu mythology, it states that in the forests where the saints and sages lived practicing ahimsa, the animals would only kill when they were hungry. At other times, a cow and a tiger could drink water side by side. He says, continues, Lord Buddha cultivated this practice. Wherever he went, he brought peace, harmony, and friendliness. Saint Francis is another great example of this. Satchidananda continues, Mahatma Gandhi tried his best to practice and propagate ahimsa, bringing many people together. Of course, there were failures in his efforts, but he would admit, I am still trying. I am still not that perfect. His entire life was based on the vows of ahimsa and satya, which means truth. Even without obtaining 100% of perfection in them, he earned a great name throughout the world as an apostle of peace. This is my favorite part. Perhaps if Gandhi's practice had been perfected, his assassin might have forgotten the idea of shooting Gandhi when he came into Gandhi's presence. Even with a little imperfection, Gandhi was admired and revered by the entire world. Even a bit of ahimsa is enough to elevate us to a higher state. That's the end quote. I'm a little dubious about the ahimsa being able to prevent an assassin, but I do believe that even a bit of ahimsa is enough to elevate us. Personally, I find reassurance in the fact that even Gandhi was imperfect in the practice of ahimsa because it is so difficult. It is such a difficult ask. Ahimsa is more than refraining from physical harming. Ahimsa is refraining from harmful thoughts, harmful words, and harmful actions. Because harmful thoughts and words and actions, they have repercussions, right? They have repercussions on ourselves and on others. Any negative feelings that are expressed, words that are said, or actions that are undertaken can have far-reaching consequences. Even unexpressed thoughts can be harmful because they can spur us into actions that may be harmful themselves. So when we're practicing non-harming, what would that look like? Well, the yogis tell us that we are practicing compassion for all living things and for all of creation. We are considerate of others. We are mindful of the consequences of our actions on other people. At our best, we put the needs of others before our own. Now, I'm not talking about putting the needs of others before our own in a sacrificial way or a self-defeating way, just in a non-self-centered way. With ahimsa, within that practice, we think before we speak and act. Ahimsa calls us to be compassionate and gentle with ourselves. Ahimsa means taking care of our own physical and mental health, not abusing our bodies, and not becoming overwhelmed with self-criticism or even self-hatred. The way to cultivate ahimsa is to study your own negative thoughts and emotions. Again, no easy task. But with increasing self-observation, we become more aware of our negative internal dialogue and the feelings that may be projected onto others in the form of harmful thoughts and words and deeds. Upon closer examination of ourselves, we realize that our thoughts are self-manufactured and self-inflicted, and that we can ultimately control them. Most of the negative thoughts and emotions that lead us to verbally and emotionally harm others, especially anger, are generated by fear. Through self-examination, we can uncover our fears and determine if they are rational, if they are warranted, or if they serve any real legitimate purpose. Doing this process means we can often let go of those fears before we have a chance to use them to harm anyone, including ourselves. The ability to move in the world with a minimum of negative thoughts and emotions, including anger and fear, does truly have an impact on the outer world. The yoga teacher BKS Iyengar wrote, "The yogi fears none, and none need fear him, because he is purified through the study of the self." Similarly, one of the Yoga Sutras says, "In the presence of one firmly established in ahimsa, all hostilities cease." So, being its most well-known practitioner, what did Gandhi have to say about ahimsa? Well, he had his own particular description of it. He said, "Literally speaking, ahimsa means non-killing. But to me, it has a world of meaning, and it takes me into realms much higher, infinitely higher. It really means that you may not offend anybody, you may not harbor an uncharitable thought, even in connection with one who may consider himself to be your enemy. To one who follows this doctrine, there is no room for an enemy. But there may be people who consider themselves to be his enemies. So it is held that we may not harbor an even evil thought, even in connection with such persons that view themselves as your enemy. If we return blow for blow, we depart from the doctrine of ahimsa. But I go farther. If we resent a friend's action or the so-called enemy's action, we still fall short of this doctrine. But when I say we should not resent, I do not say that we should acquiesce. By the word resenting, I mean wishing that some harm should be done to the enemy or that he should be put out of the way, not even by any action of ours, but by the action of somebody else, or say, by divine agency. If we harbor even this thought, we depart from this doctrine of nonviolence." That's the end quote. So is there anyone else besides me who is feeling woefully inadequate right now? Like, right? Wow. Again, we're not supposed to commit acts of violent thoughts against ourselves or self-defeating thoughts. So, but wow, that kind of encourages it a little bit in me. There's a great story, though, that actually also underlines how, I don't want to say extreme, but it sounds extreme, the practice of ahimsa is, and extraordinarily hard it is to do it, perfectly. But again, we don't need to strive for the perfection. but this is a good story. It's from the traditional lore of India, about an old Hindu monk who was sitting on the bank of a river, silently repeating his mantra. Nearby, a scorpion fell from a tree into the river, and the monk, seeking it struggling in the water, leaned over and pulled the scorpion out. He placed the scorpion back in the tree, but as he did so, the scorpion bit him on the hand. The monk paid no heed to the bite, but went on repeating his mantra. A little while later, the scorpion again fell into the water. As before, the monk pulled him out and set him back in the tree, and again was bitten on the hand. This little drama was repeated several times, and each time the monk rescued the scorpion and received another bite. It happened that a villager, ignorant of the ways of holy men, had come to the river for water and had seen the whole scorpion scenario play out. Unable to contain himself, the agitated villager told the monk, "I have seen you save that foolish scorpion several times now, and each time he has bitten you. Why just not let him drown?" "Brother," replied the monk, "the scorpion cannot help himself. It is in his nature to bite." "Agreed," said the villager, "but knowing this, why don't you leave him in the river?" "Ah, brother," replied the monk, "you see, I cannot help myself either. I am a human being. It is my nature to save." I find this story to be extremely challenging, and I'm just also, right, to say the least, right? And I'm also really glad the monk didn't get anaphylactic shock. Those are my wise thoughts on the story. But this parable demonstrates a radical type of non-harming that is rarely practiced, and what could supposedly happen when the practice of ahimsa really becomes part of your nature. In one of the great law books of Hinduism, it's written, ahimsa paramo dharma. Ahimsa is the highest law. Gandhi put it, "Nonviolence is the law of our species as violence is the law of the brute. The spirit lies dormant in the brute, and he knows no law but that of physical might. The dignity of man requires obedience to a higher law, to the strength of the spirit." To Gandhi, strength of the spirit through ahimsa is not weak, but instead a powerhouse. It suggests a dynamic state of mind in which power is released. Strength, Gandhi said, does not come from physical capacity. It comes from an indomitable will. Latent in the depths of human consciousness, Gandhi believed this inner strength could be cultivated by the observance of complete ahimsa. Whereas violence curbs this energy within and is ultimately disruptive in its consequences, ahimsa, properly understood and with practice, is invincible. With satya, truth, combined with ahimsa, nonviolence, Gandhi wrote, "You can bring the world to your feet." He also spoke of the practice of ahimsa as a science, saying, "I've been practicing with scientific precision nonviolence and its possibilities for an unbroken period of over 50 years. I have applied it," he declared, "in every walk of life, domestic, institutional, economic, political, and I know of no single case in which it has failed." So in other words, Gandhi fully lived into the widespread application of nonviolence, saying it is not a cloistered virtue to be practiced by the individual for his peace and final salvation, but it is a rule of conduct for society. To practice nonviolence in mundane matters is to know its true value. It is to bring heaven upon earth. I hold it therefore to be wrong to limit the use of nonviolence to cave dwellers and for acquiring merit for a favored position in the other world. All virtue ceases to have use if it serves no purpose in every walk of life. Gandhi truly believed that nonviolence was the only way to fully resolve conflict. Violence, he felt, was never a real or final solution. and only sowed seeds of bitterness and hostility that would ultimately rise again. And Gandhi believed that people really needed to practice ahimsa to understand it, to profess nonviolence, to study it, or even just to write about it. For Gandhi was not enough. He said, if one does not practice nonviolence in one's personal relationships with others, one is vastly mistaken. Nonviolence, like charity, must begin at home. Ahimsa is not the crude thing it has been made to appear. Not to hurt any living thing is no doubt part of ahimsa, but it is its least expression. The principle of ahimsa is hurt by every evil thought, by undue haste, by lying, by hatred, by wishing ill to anybody. It is also violated by our holding on to what the world needs. That's the end quote. So that begs the question for us. How can we cultivate ahimsa when we have been trained by our aggressive, competitive, individualistic, self-serving culture? How do we cultivate it when when the exact opposite has been cultivated within us? There are really no easy answers. Ahimsa, nonviolence, is countercultural. It goes against the grain of much of what we've been taught on how to do, how to communicate, how to be. There is so much to unlearn and relearn, so much introspection and self-awareness to cultivate through contemplation and spiritual practice. And yes, it does sound a little naive and unrealistic to think we can change the world by working on ourselves. But in a world where so much is out of our control, maybe we should start where we might actually have some control, and that is within ourselves. Like Gandhi said, nonviolence must begin at home. May we together support one another in the cultivation of ahimsa for our own personal peace, peace in our relationships, and peace in our world. May it be so, and amen. Please rise and body your spirit, and let us sing.
Before we share the chalice lighting words, I just want to thank Adriana for sharing her musical talents with us this morning. Now, please join me by saying the words on the screen as we extinguish the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Our brief closing words are from Elaine Gallagher Gehrman. Walk softly, speak truthfully, love gently, breathe deeply, live wisely, go in peace. Dear ones, indeed go in peace, return in love, and blessed be.